Just got out of the shower. Shirt's a bit wet from my hair. What better thing to do than to talk about a bit more about my gaming history and something that I didn't talk about previously. I'm going to have to go back in time a little bit to maybe 2000, 2001, around then. In fact, I'm going to go back a little further. There were PC demo discs, and that featured one particular one that I borrowed featured a little game called Grand Prix Manager. I believe it was Grand Prix Manager 2 or something like that. I can't remember the exact name, but that led me to Formula One management games. Back then, in the 90s and early 2000s, it was kind of a thing. It was a small thing, but not really. Today, we've got the EA Sports, we've got the F1 manager games that have been doing quite well from what I hear, but... Well, let me put it this way. I was into it before it was cool. I had EA Sports F1 Manager, I had Grand Prix World, and of course I had Motorsport Manager, and I'll talk about those three games. So, EA Sports F1 Manager, that was based on the 1999 season. The advantages that game had was it was graphics were very good, and yeah, it was a lot of fun developing your car. But before I get into that, well, what is an F1 management game? Well, you are the manager of a Formula One team. So yeah, that's about it. But yeah, developing the car was great. Real sponsors. You could really get creative with how your Minardi looked, having having stuff like MasterCard on your Minardi. I mean, it was just so rewarding. Or even Tommy Hilfiger doing that. Just Tommy Hilfiger on your Minardi, or PlayStation on your Prost. It was great fun. The sponsor system there. The game was not without its faults. It had a lot of inaccurate rules when it came to Formula One. Like, for example, lap drivers still had to do all the laps, even if they were lapped like 5 times. They still had to do the 5 laps after the finisher went over the line. There was no weather at all. Yeah, it was a slightly strange game. The stats of people didn't change except for morale. That was the only thing. So you could have a 50-year-old Damon Hill, and he'd still perform at the same level that he would 10 years ago. So yeah, not much foresight there. And the success of the game is purely defined by which chief designer you sign. So if you get Neil Oatley, you will 2 years down the line you'll be unstoppable. So there's yeah, so not the most in-depth game. And another big problem was manufacturers such as like engine manufacturers. They all charge the same amount as so a higher manufacturer like Mercedes would charge the same amount as a small one like Petronas. So it's just a case of just get Neil Oatley, get a McLaren, get a Mercedes engine, and you'll win the game instantly. Well, not instantly, but over time you'll be unstoppable. New drivers were never created, so like if one retired. So yeah, not exactly a game for long-term play, but still a fun game by its own terms. That was in roughly 2000, 2001, around then I was playing that game. Then I never played Grand Prix World though, but in 2013 I got an older PC, Windows 95, an older laptop specifically for the purpose of older gaming, and I managed to find a copy of Grand Prix World, and that game was significantly better than F1 Manager. It was a little more realistic. There were problems with that game. Let's go on to the good things. The signing sponsors was very exciting. You didn't sign sponsors for your current season. You were pushing to sign sponsors for next season, which was a lot of fun. And not only that, but you were pushing the sponsor system. The way you get sponsors, you sign up tyre, fuel, and engine manufacturers the same way. So a bit tense, because if you don't get one of those 3 things, you're out. You can't compete in the next season. Also, technically, you can't be fired start, and that's only one way you can be fired. You can only be fired if you fail to get 3 of those things, or fail to get the basics like drivers, manufacturers. If you don't get those 2 things, you could be fired. The only other way in that game you could be fired is if you sell your stock in the team. You get 100% stock, and if you sell any more than 49% of your stock, you're at risk of being fired. And selling stocks, it was necessary to keep Stuart, Tyrrell, and teams like that going. Speaking of which, that's based on the '98 season. But advantages, it did have stats changing depending on age. It had a full editor, so any inaccuracies you can change. And there were inaccuracies. Jarno Trulli was for some reason 31 in that game, even though he was 23, something like 23 in real life at that point. And races were there were some bugs in races, like if you made a pit stop at the same time as a higher ranked team, they would block you from exiting the pits, which was a little bit bizarre. Just sort of some awkward game problems like that. But it was still a really fun game, and very challenging too. But you have a lot more creative freedom there. So it's great fun game. I spent a lot of time on there, but a little bit outdated now, because now we come to something that happened in 2016. I was watching a Formula One race. I saw an advert for Motorsport Manager on the television. I downloaded the game straight away the second I saw it. I'm never that quick to get a game, but when I saw that, I was like, yeah, gotta get this game. I opened up the game, and the same advert that I saw on the TV was the video before the game loads up. Yeah, 2016, you can imagine the advances. The big downside, of course, there was no official licenses, but we'll come on to that in a second. But yeah, great game. Still great fun today. Managing not just a Formula One team, but with DLC, you can manage a GT team or an endurance team. And yeah, there was all sorts of clever things like race management was great. Could advance time, so you don't have to watch the whole race. You could sign pay drivers. Marketability was a thing. You can give drivers instructions, pit strategies. All the things you'd expect in a Formula One management game are there. The sponsor system worked more like F1 Manager, EA Sports F1 Manager. I wish that Motorsport Manager had taken some clues from Grand Prix World on sponsors, but you can't have everything. Just a great fun game. Not really much more to say about it, but it did lead to one historic moment in my gaming history. Mods. Steam are great for subscribing to mods, and that was the first time I ever played a game with a mod. Yeah, so you could officially get official license. Well, not official license, but you could get the accurate driver and team names with the correct with the mod. You can get the correct season stats, so you could drive in almost any season in that game. Another thing also, the tracks, the circuits were not real, but they were very recognisable. You could tell that Milan was Monza. You could tell that Dubai was Dubai. You could very easily tell that Doha was meant to be Abu Dhabi. I mean, they're not hiding it at all. It's like that quote from The Simpsons. Look at all those names in the Itchy and Scratchy movie. Dustin Hoffman, Michael Jackson. Of course, they didn't use their real names, but you could tell it was them. And it's the same thing with tracks in Motorsport Manager. You can tell which track is which, even with the default statistic, default drivers. You can tell that Scuderia Rossini is Ferrari. You can tell that Nico Saarinen is Kimi Räikkönen. You can tell that Lucia Flores is Carlos Sainz. You can tell that Windsor is meant to be Williams, and Lipponen's meant to be Bottas. So that is Formula One management games and extending past that into GT and WC. Though there was one thing that bothered me about the endurance category. When it came to voting for new things, for some reason, not every team would be included in this vote. Only the teams around you. So if you were in LMP2, the other 5 team principals would get involved in a vote, and the LMP1 ones would not get involved in that vote, even though they were part of that same championship. It affected them, which I found a little bit odd. You'd have thought 12 would be included in that, but only 6, which is a little bit odd. But yeah, that's pretty much it for motorsport management games. I'll think about which area to cover next. So thank you very much for watching, and I'll do another video very soon. Take care.